how I came with this presentation. One of my mastermind students, Corey, and I went to look at a deal that was presented to me about 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks or 1 week?
No, 2.
2 weeks ago. Gentleman contacted me, actually I called him first, from a referral. And it was a perfect opportunity to say, let's put together a presentation that show people that being a wholesaler or being a rehabber or being a buy and hold investor, by just being that, you are leaving so much profit on the table. And that's where this whole presentation came about. Thinking outside the box. Let me show you what I mean. Now, the first question people always ask when I do a presentation, oh, who is the mad scientist? Why should I listen to this guy? He doesn't know what, he doesn't know this, he doesn't know that. I was just like you, where you are now, for many of you, 26 years ago. I always tell the story of how I grew up in the projects and so on. How many of you are first-timers?
Raise your hand like you use a deodorant.
Yeah. Okay, a few of you. So I'm going to tell a story anyway, but I usually tell this at the beginning of all my presentations. Growing up in the projects in East Baltimore, the biggest thing I had to look forward to was either the environment that I lived in and being a product of that environment, or deciding to make a change in my life. And I chose at that point in time, well, I don't think school is something that I need. So I dropped out of school in 9th grade. 9th grade education to this date. But I'm a firm believer, it's not how you start the race, it's how you finish it. And one of the things I realized growing up, that without education, your opportunities was very slim. And I started off with very few opportunities. One of which was one dead-end job after another, working at Johns Hopkins Hospital, a security job. Then I worked at Lexington Market doing security. Then I even worked at the Harbor Place in the Gallery doing security. But then I got fired. I had a tendency of, whenever I do a job or work on a job and I work the midnight shift, I always fall asleep and get caught. So I was fired at least 2-3 times, falling asleep on the midnight shift on different jobs. So I said, I need a change. I need to find something else to do other than security. So I said, aha. Not many people would say, aha, and then say, I want to sell Kirby vacuum cleaners. But that's exactly what I did. I said, aha, and then I started selling Kirby vacuum cleaners in Catonsville. And I was going around, knocking on door to door, trying to sell a $1,400 vacuum cleaner. And those vacuum cleaners was killers. I mean, those vacuum cleaners could pick up baby diapers. They was just so, they could pick up any and everything. And I've always told people, if you could sell a $1,400 vacuum cleaner, you could sell anything. And I didn't sell that one damn one. But what it did was give me thick skin. Because going around knocking on doors, cold calling like that, I learned one thing that really one of the most valuable lessons I learned in this business. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And if you can do that, then nothing is beyond your grasp. Because if you can be comfortable being uncomfortable, man, there's nothing that can scare you. There's nothing that can bring fear to you. And a lot of the roadblocks you'll have in this business is based on fears that you have in your mind. Without those fears, you will be able to do so much. So, selling Kirby vacuum cleaners, not selling any, I had the luxury of coming home late and being up looking at infomercials early in the morning. And that's when he came on TV. Coffee sheets, talking about how you could buy real estate with no money down. And he said in his videos, you could be successful in this business if you had no cash, check. No credit, check. No previous experience, check. So I knew I could do that. So I purchased the course, not one time, not two times, but 3 times. And the 3rd time I actually opened it up. Because a lot of people buy courses, and I was one of those persons that would buy a real estate course, put it on the shelf, and not do anything with it. And I did that 3 times. But the 3rd time when I actually opened it up, my eyes just started to widen open. And I wanted to consume everything in that course. But the problem with a lot of these courses is that you get general information, not specific information. And I still needed that missing piece to the puzzle. And that's where my mentor came into play. I started to work with a guy, and I actually seeked him out through another investor that I knew. And I told this mentor, I will do anything I can to learn the business. All I ask is that you put me to work. So he hired me for $50 a week, and I worked in his business. My salary was $50 a week and lunch. And I did that for 8 months. And for 8 months, after that point, I've been doing real estate investing full-time ever since. Some of the people that I've helped mentor and I actually worked as consulting clients for was Century Auction Group, Mark Whitten, Marcel Humphrey, Kenneth Gills, Bill Fell, DMV wholesalers, trusted home buyers. All of these were either students of mine or consulting clients that hire me to consult them in their business. Also, my real estate business is currently renting and buying and wholesaling deals in Tampa, Houston, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Ohio, St. Pete. We're doing in 5 different states, doing investing right now across the country. On my team, and this actual slide is about a month old, so I really got to update the actual client part of it. But on my team, we have people that are actually VAs in the United States, Philippines, India, Canada, and Germany. Currently, what we're doing in my business, wholesaling, rehabbing, tenant placement, guaranteed rent, website design, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, consulting. I do a lot of speaking engagements with my clients. Actually, in July the 12th to the 20th, one of my clients is flying me down to California to spend a week in California to help grow their marketing for their business. I've also got my meetup group. My team, I have over 385 house hunters in 5 different states, 1 project manager, 4 website developers, 1 graphic designer, 1 classified poster, 2 software developers, 2 real estate agents, 1 CPA, an attorney. We work with 3 different primary title companies, 2 general contractors, and numerous handymans. And we're currently JVing on wholesale and rehab deals in Washington, Baltimore, Houston, Ohio, St. Pete. And the client list needs to be updated because it's actually more than that. A lot of the people you know in Maryland are my past clients when it comes to marketing or their website designs or coaching.
9th grade dropout, huh?
Not to mention, I got 3 books published. One on social marketing, one on website design, and the other one is on online and search engine optimization. 2 of them is at Barnes & Noble and on Amazon, and one of them can just be found on Amazon. And all with a 9th grade education. So, the point I'm trying to make is that don't make an excuse that all you have is this or all you have is that. All you need is you and your persistence to be successful. That's all you need. So it doesn't matter the education level. What matters is what you do with the information you get today and how you put it into action, which goes towards the subject for today. Thinking outside the box like a mad scientist. One of my mentors over the years is a guy by the name of Peter Fortunato. Peter Fortunato used to say that all opportunities are born from uncomfortable circumstances of people. Think about that. all opportunities are born from uncomfortable circumstances of people. And helping people resolve those circumstances you'll be able to close more deals as a result. That's all you are in this business. You are a problem solver. The more problems you can solve, the more opportunity you'll have to close deals. So when you start to think about your business and you start to think about opportunities that's in front of you, wholesale, rehabbing, and so on, think in terms of, let me get down to the bottom number. What is the reason or what is the uncomfortable circumstance that makes this person want to sell? And when you do that, then you'll be a transactional engineer. These are some of the deals that we're going to talk about, just to show you some of the creative ways in which I purchase properties. And some of these are my deals, and some of these are some of my mastermind students' deals as well. This property is one of my deals, Mount Vernon Properties. This was an owner finance deal. Purchased 31 apartment buildings, 200 apartment units, 285 apartment units total, all in downtown Baltimore, on Mount Vernon area. The actual down payment was $500,000. The actual purchase price was $4.5 million, with $3.5 million going down for the purchase of the property, and it was based off a $1 million second with a 20-year amortization and a 5-year balloon. Now that's saying a lot. Basically what it's saying is that the owner of the property took a second on the property for 20 years, amortized a second of $1 million with a balloon in 5 years. This deal at the time, these units was probably appraised at around $27,000 to $32,000 per unit, which was a good deal back then. But it wasn't a great deal because the motivation behind this seller, which was two brothers, was the fact that they were just featured in the city paper as two of the top 10 worst landlords in Baltimore City. So, helping people out of uncomfortable situations. That person was motivated based on knowing this information. That person was willing to do owner financing based on digging deep. And we're going to go over to how you can find opportunity in structured deals. You have to recognize that all opportunities is based on uncomfortable situations. We purchased the property. I sold my interest in the property, I think it was 5 or 6 years after that. The property was appraised for about $13 million. So I kicked myself in the pants for selling my interest, but that's another story. The point I'm trying to make is, if you don't ask and if you don't know, you can't make the deal work. Second deal, office space. How many of you guys know Club 347 in downtown Baltimore? Or heard of it? I know you have. But anyway, one of the commercial deals I structured was the purchase of these 3 buildings and this parking lot. The actual total purchase price was $225,000. It was set up where the owner took $25,000 down. We got a $110,000 first from M&T Bank, and the owner took a second for 15 years with a 3-year balloon mortgage. Same thing as what we talked about last time. The first is $110,000, $25,000 down. The owner took owner financing of holding a note for $100,000, amortized over 15 years with a 3-year balloon. The key point to this deal is this term, substitution of collateral. What that allowed us to do on the actual note, we were able to walk that note. Instead of having a second on that property, we're able to walk that second and use and cross-collateralize it with another property. And then we're able to sell this property. Actually, we're able to refinance the property without having to pay the note back until it's full-blown years up. Another key point to this deal, the parking lot. The parking lot that was associated with this building was grandfathered in on the deal. This was the deal. 99 years at $100 a month lease. 99 years at $100 a month lease. We're able to set up 13 parking spots at a cost of $65 to $85 a day. I'm sorry, a month, not a day. The city owned the actual parking lot, but they considered this junk land. So they leased it to us for 99 years for $100 a month. Doesn't get any better than this. Now, what happened with these 3 properties? We sold the 3 properties to Mercy Hospital for $1.1 million. Right now, they're the owner of these 3 properties. The owner of the original purchase of the deal, the owner of the properties, his issue was he was tired of being a landlord. He also owned a restaurant 2 blocks down, and he just wanted to do his restaurant business. So we structured the deal so it would give us time as well as the use of the money, because we knew sooner or later Mercy Hospital will come knocking, because this property is directly across the street from Mercy Hospital. Now, that wasn't the reason why we purchased it. We purchased it because it became the actual home office for Mount Vernon Properties, my property management company for all my apartment buildings. So we had a function for purchasing it. The fact that that property appraised for so much and Mercy Hospital bought it was icing on the cake. Which brings me to another thing. Never depend on appreciation. If appreciation comes, it's icing on the cake. If not, don't make that the basis for your deal to be successful. Because more often than not, everything that goes up can come down. So if you base the success on your deal on appreciation, you're setting yourself up for a fall. Any questions so far?
How do you talk to a hospital about buying your property?
Question is, how do you talk to the hospital about buying the property? It wasn't easy. It took over 2 years to finally get them to say yes. The administrator in charge of, it was financing. In my business, my job is negotiations. That's all I do in the business. I negotiate. My partner's job in the business was to do the financing. And he took care of the majority of talking with Mercy on this. I just structured the deal. But we got in touch with the actual board in Mercy, which allowed us to get in touch with the financial officer handling the acquisition of properties for Mercy Hospital. Any other questions?
What are they using that property for? Is it housing?
They're going, well, actually, they haven't even used it yet. Let me
Repeat
tell
the
you
question.
exactly how the deal goes.
Charles, repeat the question.
I didn't go into further detail. One of the other properties that we owned on this block was Club 347. When they sold these properties, we made a deal with Mercy that we would keep a 2-year lease on the Club 347 at $500 a month for 2 years, because their plans for expansion started 3 years down the road. So they don't plan on doing anything on the property in regards to knocking down or whatever, at least 3 years from the point of sale. So we got the bar, which is what Club 347 is, a nightclub. We got that a 3-year lease on the bar after it was sold for $500 a month, and we're currently subleasing it out to someone who's working in it right now at a cost of $1,900 a month.
It's called Mood Lounging now.
Right. Creative financing, structured deals, thinking outside the box, looking for the motivation when it comes to a house. Let's go further. This is one of my students did. In fact, it's Corey. We set this deal up a couple months ago. 2 properties. First property was totally rehabbed with a tenant living in it, paying
$1,525.
$1,525. The second property was vacant with a mortgage payment of
$700.
$700. So let's look at the numbers. You have an occupied property at $1,500, that's at $1,525, and you have a vacant property the owner had, which is actually $700 vacant. The motivation is the owner knew that trouble was coming. They knew that they were going to be having an issue with making payments, with the work that needed to be done in the vacant property, and they was just, here's my favorite word, fed up and tired of being a landlord. So, they agreed to allow Corey to take over both properties. No money out of his pocket. They also agreed, and this is the beauty of negotiations. Of that $1,500, they were willing to accept how much?
No, but out of the 1,000, they were willing to accept 700.
Well, I'm gonna say $1,500 the rent.
Oh, 1,500, they give me 125 from
Right.
the 15.
So out of that 1,000 mortgage payment, they was willing to take how much?
700.
Which left a windfall of $800 left out of the rent. So think about this. They didn't care that they wasn't getting this extra $800. They just wanted relief. So Corey called me up. What can we do with this? Here's what we can do. When a seller says they need relief, one of the things you want to do is throw them a rope, but you don't want to drown with them. You knew that the mortgage payment was $700 a month. You knew that the property cash flow at $1,500 a month. In those cases, I would either offer to give the exact mortgage payment or more, depending on my cash flow requirements. On this deal, Corey offered to give him $700 on the mortgage payment on the first property, which is already rented at $1,500, and he offered to take over the $700 payment on the actual second property that was vacant. Yes.
Are these, you're buying these, Corey, or you're just kind of managing them? In the deed?
I'm controlling them.
And it's called master leasing.
Okay.
That's a whole different concept. Sort of like option with a non-performing deed to buy. That's all it is. Master leasing. And I talk more about this. I call it guaranteed rent, but all it is master leasing.
How do you find that? The old Craigslist,
Well,
Baltimore Sun?
First of all, I'll let Corey tell you. How you found it?
Yellow letters. Driving for dollars.
Now, going back to the deal, and this is the beautiful part. So now Corey has a property that he has to pay $700 off of on this one, and he has to pay $700 on this one. But he's only getting $1,500, right? That means it's only a $100 cash flow. Well, what will Corey do to make more money? This is where one of the most powerful terms you'll ever learn in real estate investing will come into play. It's something that's called forced appreciation, higher and best use. Corey knew if he rented that property out, max-wise, he would get $950, $1,000 max. But if he changed the use to make it the highest and best performing use, which was rooms, so the $900 a month you would normally get renting it, this water, you would normally get renting it, excuse me for a second. The $900 a month that you normally get renting it became how much with rooms?
Before everything, $2,300 a month.
$2,300 a month, renting it as 4 rooms. So that's an increase in cash flow of almost $1,400 by changing the highest and best use of the property. The total cash flow he's working with now on a property that didn't cost him any money to the seller, but how much in repair cost for this one?
About maybe $300.
$300 to repair this one. Total profit each month is $2,045. $300 out of pocket. That's thinking outside of the box, structured financing, creating something out of nothing, because most investors who are wholesalers will look at a deal and say there's no spread here. Most investors that are rehabbers look at the deal and say there's no spread here. But when you look at a deal and you look at a house in more than just a structured way, there's opportunity to be found if you know where to look.
Question in the back.
Yes.
How many rooms are in each of these houses? Are there 3 bedrooms upstairs and maybe a 4th in the basement, or
This one is 4 rooms. The other one is a regular 3-1 house. So it's actually, it didn't change the actual current use of the other one because it's already rented Section 8, 1,500. So this one was just converted to 4 rooms. It was set up as 3. He added another room to make it 4.
Where, in the basement? Or
First floor.
The dining room. I changed the dining room into another bedroom.
Next question.
how many bathrooms in the house?
One.
How about zoning, if you had a problem with something, you get a,
Baltimore City Code states, you can have up to 4 unrelated people living in one residence without it being considered a boarding house. 4 unrelated individuals in one residence without it being considered a boarding house.
one bathroom? One bathroom?
Say it again?
One bathroom?
Yes. 1 bathroom.
Yes.
You asked the question, how...
Now, let me go into that question too as well. Because when you think of 1 bathroom, think in terms of, what's the average amount of people in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house? It's usually a man, a woman, and 2 kids, correct? Isn't that 4 people?
Yeah.
There's no issue with 4 people sharing a bathroom. There's no issue with 4 people being in a house. You have to get out of that closed box and say, well, 4 people in one house, that's what's called or considered the standard when it comes to a family household. 4 people.
Just a second, yeah, I'll get you. I'd like to interject sometime, particularly, I call it one of those teachable moments. You know, Charles went through and just started talking to me. This is Corey, is one of my students, yada, yada, so. How many of you caught that? Okay. Any of you curious about how to become one of his students? Okay. You want to talk to me a little bit about that. He doesn't like me to bring that up here during this session here, but make sure you ask me, how do I become one of Charles's students? All right?
Enough said, Case.
I'm one of his students.
Yeah.
I associate, I work with him, I'm helping out with all of this, but I am also one of his students. I want to make sure you understand and have access to that possibility.
Thank you, Cliff.
All right?
Okay, let's look at
Oh,
another.
wait, oh, hold on, I'm sorry, I cut her off because she had a question for
I'm
you
sorry.
earlier.
Yes.
Who's
No.
selling the property when you're,
Say that again?
I lived in a room before, and my landlord was in the room with me. So who manages the property when you're not there and you have 4 people living in the
I do boarding houses. I have about 5 right now. We're rooming houses. I have a guy that I pay to do my rooming house collections, my rents, managing them. And I also have, on one of my properties, I have one of the tenants doing my collections for me.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on how you want to set it up. I've been doing it for over 10 years.
Can we get that clearly?
Huh?
We're not getting that clearly.
what,
We're not hearing that.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Okay. Yeah, I set up, with my business, my rooming houses, I have a person that I hire to collect the rents, but I also have, in one of my properties, a person who lives in the actual property collecting the rents. So to set it up is the easy part. The key to any type of management is knowing how to manage. Remember, I used to own over 300 apartment units. So the easy part for me is the management. It's just a matter of changing the doors to floors. That's all you have to think in terms of. So one of the skills that if you want to add another tool to your toolkit, one of the skills you should add is property management. Because true wealth is going to come when you get a property and you get that property through amortization, buying down the mortgage, and you have a free and clear property. That's where true wealth is going to come. That's where the number one strategy in investing when it comes to generational wealth is landlording and owning properties free and clear. Now, but also leveraging that free and clear. Now, before I go on, any other questions regarding this?
Or you said you have one of your tenants collecting the rent. What is the deal? Does he get a
$25 off. $25 off a week. What is one of the incentives of having the tenant collect the rent? He gets $25 off his rent every week.
What was the terms to purchase the property?
The terms was the owner just wanted to get out of the deal because they was tired of being a landlord and they wanted to save their credit because they saw with this vacant property and lack of money coming in, other than what they had with that rental, that their credit was going to get a bang. And they had perfect, I don't want to say perfect, they had great credit.
And they're looking to buy a house.
And they're looking to buy a house. But that was their motivation. Remember, creating opportunity out of uncomfortable circumstances. This is one I have on Monroe Street. Person contacted me. They said, hey, I know your company do tenant placement. I have a property I need a tenant for. So I always have what's called a fallback in regards to that phone call I get. So when somebody calls about tenant placement, I'm going to also let them know that we also do this. We also do that. So the conversation got around to the fact that the property was vacant. It's been vacant for over a year. They're at the finishing stages of doing the work in it. They really didn't want to be a landlord anymore. The husband and wife owned a barber, owned a hair salon, and that's all they wanted to do. They wanted to get that property off of their mind. But they was thinking, well, maybe I need to be a tenant. Or maybe I need to find a tenant so a tenant can actually rent the property from me. Which they had disastrous results before. That's why they had to rehab the house again to get the work done. So my offer to them was my guaranteed rent program. I say, I have this program that may be perfect for you, where we'll actually guarantee your rent for 2 years. We'll take over all the minor maintenance, small maintenance, whether the property is vacant or occupied, we'll take over everything. And we'll pay you $800 a month, which happened to be the exact amount of money they needed for their mortgage payment. $800 a month for 2 years. You don't have to worry about anything with the property. What, are you serious? Yep. Where do I sign up? I took Corey there with me on this deal. We went there, looked at the property, no work needed. Property is in moving condition. Got the property, currently renting it out as 4 rooms, paying $800, being rented out right now for $1,975 total, cash flow. Paying the owner $800 a month. Thinking outside the box, creating opportunity where there is none. Highest and best use. Now this one, we're at the finishing stages on this one. This is what I did 2 weeks ago. This is property, actually 3 properties in Edgewood. This was referred to me by one of my mastermind students. And I took one of my mastermind students with me to watch me negotiate it. This deal is 3 properties. One is in stellar moving condition. The other 2 is in rental condition. One occupied. The second one vacant. The actual rent rolls were nil. Why? Because the tenants weren't paying the rent on the 2 that was rentals. So the owner lived in one of them, which was the property that was stellar, fantastic condition. And he rented out the other 2 that he owned, and all of them happened to be on the same block. So there's 3 properties on the same block. One of the properties currently has a mortgage payment of $1,165 a month. The other two, $643 a month. And the third one, $675 a month. On the first one, I offered to give him $800 of the $1,100 that he was paying each month. Remember, give them a rope, but don't drown with them. On the second one, the mortgage payment was $643. I offered to give him $725. On the third, payment was $675. I offered to give him $800. Now, why did I structure the deal this way? Because I wanted to make sure that the properties that I had a spread in, we could use to cover the difference he needed to make this full payment. So I offered to give him more than his mortgage payment here because I offered to give him less here. So this property right here is maxed out. The ARV is 140. He's at 140. These two properties are around 110. My goal with these two properties is to put them out on the market as rent with option to buy, making profit on down payment, difference between mortgage payment, and the actual, hopefully, sale of the properties when the lease with option to buy process is over with.
Those the ones I called you about.
Yep.
What was that question?
This was the question was this the deal that she called me about? There was Andy, one of my mastermind students. So the answer is yes. And this house this was 2 weeks ago. So I'm not showing you stuff that we're talking 15, 20 years ago. We video recorded this actual conversation I had with this seller 2 weeks ago. Thinking outside the box will take your investment career to a whole new level. Here's what. If you become single structure focused real estate investor, you will fail to close transactions that you could have otherwise closed. If you just become the wholesaler, if you just become the rehabber, if you just become the buy and hold investor, you will be leaving a large amount of profit on the table. How many of you have gotten deals, wholesalers, raise your hand. Have you gotten deals that weren't wholesale deals you couldn't do anything with? Let me hear some voices. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Rehabbers. Have you gotten deals that you couldn't buy?
Yes.
Buy and hold investors. Were there properties out there that you couldn't buy but buy and hold? These are the opportunities that will always be there. If you're spending $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 a month on marketing, or even $500 a month on marketing, you're only going to be doing between 1% and 3% of the deals that come your way because you structured your business around wholesaling. I'm a wholesaler. No, I'm a rehabber. No, I'm a buy and hold investor. And you're missing the opportunities that will come your way. Now, I'm going to be contradicting myself right now. And what I mean by that is this. I don't want you to go out and learn all this stuff. Learn how to do master leasing. Learn how to do owner finance deals. Learn how to do boarding houses. But once you start to master a tool, begin to educate yourself on other tools. And most importantly, put together what I like to call my money list. The people who are doing the things that you're not doing where you can make income off of giving them that deal. So the deal that you can't make money on, that is a deal that you say, oh, this could be a tenant placement deal. You find 3 or 4 tenant placement companies to work with that will partner with you on that deal. And you make half of the profit on that deal. The deals that come your way that you know that aren't wholesale deals. You find someone like myself and say, Charles, this is the deal I'm working on. Will you pay me a finder's fee if you can do a structured deal out of this? The deal where there's no equity, and there's a boatload of those, are deals that I will salivate over.
Me too.
As well as the deals where there's no mortgages on the properties. Because that's what true owner financing is all about.
We pause for station identification. Listen, I'm a little bigger than you, so don't look at me like that. So look, did you get something so far? Did you get it? Nod if you got it. Do like this if you didn't. Do like this if you just kind of sit down. Let me see it. Okay. So here's the point. I'm back up here because you already got, some of you already got enough right now to change your life significantly. You already heard it. And we hadn't even gotten into overdrive yet. So I just come to reiterate to you that if you need to get between that gap, sometimes you get a lot of information and you look up and you're still a little bit frozen. You still don't know how to take that next step. You know what I'm talking about? You listened, you watched, you took notes, you say, yeah, I want to do this, and then you froze. Call me. Call me. Look, I'm a student. Yeah, I have students. I'm doing okay. I got some things coming in. I'm working on a variety of projects, but I am still a student. I don't know where you are in your life, but I guarantee you that it serves you to make yourself a student. Now, in this case, don't stop me because I'm not trying to sell you a thing here, okay? I'm saying to you, if you aren't a student, then you're rotten. What do I mean? Think about fruit. Most of you heard this. Some of you heard that, right? When a fruit is green, what does it do? Does it continue to grow? Yeah. When it's overripe and it has no more growth to do, what does it do? It begins to rot. The only thing it's good for is compost. Are you compost? So make it your business. You're doing it, you're here, but being a student, an active student. That means you learn and you apply. You learn and you execute. Connect with somebody in here and let them help you go to the next step. Joint venture and go to the next step. All right? Connect with me, connect with him, connect with somebody.
Connect with me.
Corey Banks, I hear. Charles, back to our show.
Okay. This is where creative thinking comes into play. I mentioned one of my mentors. This is from him, Peter Fortunato. I learned this about 10 years ago. A house is so much more than just profit. There's literally 8 different ways you can make a profit off of one deal. The question is, which window do that deal fit into? Is it in growth? You have people that will pay for payments of a percentage of payments that you're getting on property that you have. I used to sell payments from a property where I had a note on. The first 2-year payments. Profits. Everyone knows that. Cash flow. Cash flow is king, but it's only king when it's positive cash flow. Income. The income of a property can be subdivided. The income of a property can be traded. The income of a property can be sold. Management. Like taking over master leasing. I'm taking over control of that property, finding the highest and best use, and changing the whole look of the property through management of rooms. Amortization. Buying down the property to track the actual, what you would call the mainstay in real estate investing. Paying on the mortgage and the actual relief you get when you pay the mortgage over time. The amortization benefits that comes with the pay down of the mortgage. Tax benefits, depreciation, gains, and so on. Use. Giving the person the use of a property in terms for compensation. Rent to own, lease with option to buy. And security. That person who needs or want to save their credit. because of their current situation. So a house is more than just, I'm going to wholesale and flip it. When you understand and when you become a transactional engineer, every deal is looked upon underneath of this microcosm. How does structured finance, where structured finance sales will fall into several different categories. One, they know they want to sell and carry financing. Often, professional sellers are privy or will be willing to do structured finance deals or owner finance deals. Or, if the seller was forced into an ownership situation, such as probate, such as bankruptcy, such as divorce, and now, by no fault of their own, they will be very susceptible to structured finance, owner finance type deals. Two, they have not been able to sell. One of the biggest ways we find deals is from people who say, I can't sell, I can't rent. Well, let us do a structured finance deal. Let us take over your payments. Let us do guaranteed rent. Let us do tenant placement. All of these are structured finance deal strategies that you can do to generate income. And now are trying to rent, those people that were trying to rent was reaching to sell, and now are trying to sell without a realtor, high probability for an owner finance deal, still have it listed with a realtor. I've done structured deals and owner finance deals where realtors was involved. As long as that realtor is being compensated, it can be done. And now are doing nothing. The property is just sitting there and is sucking out income from that seller. These are all reasons why and identifications that you should look for when thinking, should a property go owner finance or structured finance? 3, they are landlords and went out of the business. That's one of the number one reasons. When you have the conversation, and when you're talking to sellers, it should be a conversation. It shouldn't be a business discussion. You should be conversating with them, not sounding like you're reading off of a book. How much do you owe on your property? Is your property clear? Would you consider owner finance? No. The conversation should be a part of a flow. We're going to go into the conversation as well. But the key is creating relationship. My biggest deals all have one main thing in common, for the most part, not all of them, but for the most part. And that one thing is, I created a trusting relationship with the seller that made the seller feel comfortable to sell to me. Keep this in mind. You will never convince a seller to sell their house. You can only hope to convince them to sell their house to you, because other investors will be contacting that person. So your goal should be convincing them to sell the house to you. And how do you do that? By building rapport and building relationship. Then a seller will say, you know what? I like working with that guy, Charles. I'm going to call him again. I know a cousin who needs a house to sell. I know a cousin that has this situation. When you build rapport as opposed to a business-only type relationship, the seller has no problem trading equity for peace of mind. And that's what you want. Equity for peace of mind is where you want to be at. There are lenders who have foreclosed or in the process of foreclosing on properties. Very motivated. Will consider structured financing and owner finance deals. They are new investors who bit off more than they could chew. When you get a call from a seller who, man, I bought this property last 2 months ago, the property is already vacant. If you don't know what to do with that deal, there's a guy named Chucky. His real estate company is called Chucky Buy Yucky Houses. He can be reached at 443-925-2860. And Chucky Buy Yucky Houses have no problem paying finder's fee.
Is that you?
That's me.
Can you give that number again?
443-925-2860. So if you come across something, I don't know what to do with this, call Chucky.
Should I give him the
Seller don't want to talk to you right now. Seller got something in their minds. Seller don't know what's going on. Call Chucky. Because there's no worse situation in this business than missed opportunity. A lot of you is going to say real estate don't work because you decided to be a wholesaler and all the deals that came in didn't fit wholesale. And you made 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, 20 trips to houses and try to get a lease for contract and not one of those people wanted to sell. But what if you could make $1,000 or $2,000 just referring to deals that you can't close? Will that help keep you in the business until you do the strategy that you want to do or you think you should do? That's all I'm saying. There's opportunity out there that does not necessarily have to begin with wholesaling, rehabbing, and buying in whole.
Question.
Yes.
When you say lenders, does that just take longer because it's, Bank of America?
Well, when I say lenders, I'm referring to, well, lenders you're talking about, I'm referring to hard money lenders, private lenders. When I say lenders. There's, and this is very few people know this, there's probably a good 8 or 9 what I would call top tier hard money lenders in Baltimore City, Baltimore County. Do you think some of them have to take properties back?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think some of them may need to sell some of the stuff they take back?
Mm-hmm.
That's opportunity to present an offer based on structured or owner financing. Other factors that could raise the opportunity for structured financing. If the property has multiple owners and probate, multiple owners, personal representative. Now the personal representative is in charge of selling the property to make sure that all the heirs are satisfied as well as the creditors. When you got multiple owners, people want their money. They want to get that money from that sale quick. Owned a long time, fair and clear, property that have very little mortgages on it. Owned for 25 years, 20 years. Fact. 2 numbers I want you to keep in mind. Most of the time, appreciation doesn't start on a house until 5 to 7 years. So if a person owns a property for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, unless there was a large down payment put down on that property practically has no equity. So if they're saying, I need to sell my house and I just need to get out of what the property is because I know there's no equity in it, they're begging for you to come up with some kind of structured finance deal because they've already told you they know that there's no equity there. Can you help me? When other investors will say no equity, no wholesale, goodbye. That's a perfect situation for a structured finance deal, for a highest and best use type of transaction. Out-of-town owners. The further the distance a person is from their rental property, the higher the motivation could be. Why? Because one of the biggest cons out in real estate investing is property management. No, I hope there ain't no property management. I'm just saying that based on a whimsical belief. And this is my whimsical belief. I manage the majority of my own properties, but I also have property managers. But the key is managing your managers. And the reason why I say this, when you're dealing with unscrupulous property managers, think about this. A property manager, unless they're making income from volume, they're basically working for tips. 10% of what they collect each month. How else are they going to make revenue? One, by the turnover of your property. So for an unscrupulous property management, could it be an incentive not to put a good tenant in there? Yes. Because by having turnover, they get the first month's rent every time a new tenant comes in. And I'm talking about unscrupulous property managers. Another way for property managers to make money is the revenue or fee that they make off of having work done in your properties. So could it be an incentive for them to charge you an extra $50, $75, $100 for work that you could have gotten done cheaper? Yes. Now, I'm not talking about all property managers. You have to know what you're facing in this game we call real estate investing. Because there's lots of ways that you can be blindsided. Older owners that's ready to retire, owners that's ready to just say, hey, I've been doing this for 27 years, my appreciation is almost gone, I'm ready to get rid of these properties. Who wants to pay me to go to Florida and live in a trailer park down by the river? The owners that we bought the property from, Mount Vernon Properties, they wanted to go to Florida and retire. Free and clear properties. Woo! Free and clear properties are your best way to be creative. When you get a free and clear deal. Because the next thing you want to know out of your mouth is, well, Mr. Jackson, you try to sell your property for $150,000. You don't have a mortgage on it. What are you planning on doing with all that money? Well, I'm planning on spending $40,000 on my new RV. The rest I'm going to put in the bank. How about the bank of Charles Blair? Now, what I mean by that, my offer to the seller will be $40,000 cash for 2% over the next 30 years, amortized on a 5-year balloon. Because I will pay him interest more than what he can get from the bank. And I will structure the deal where he will be the bank. If he plans on putting that money in the bank, why not let me give you more than what a bank will give you? And then I will do a substitution of collateralization on the actual note, which will allow me to put that note on another property, and I have that property free and clear, and I can sell it and not have to pay him for 5 years down the road. So I can use his money for my profits and not have to pay it back for 5 years down the road. So I got back the $40,000 cash I gave him, sold that $150,000, $170,000 house, and came up with $130,000 more that I could use for 3 to 5 years until that actual balloon is due. If there is a balloon play at all. He owns 2 houses. The property in Edgewood, the owner owned 3 houses. He wanted to buy another house. He didn't want to be in Edgewood anymore. But he had 2 vacant properties that he desperately needed rented. Because the renters in there right now aren't paying anything. He evicted 1 and he still has 1 more to go. Opportunities. What did I say about opportunity? It starts off from Uncomfortable circumstances of people. And that's where the negotiations come into play. It's 11:30. I'm going to let you guys take a 15-minute break, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to blow your minds.